Prayer is never attacked by accident. If you've ever wondered why your mind suddenly fills with distractions, why exhaustion hits the moment you kneel, why doubt whispers louder when your lips begin to call on God, it's because prayer is the battleground the enemy fears most, and when your spirit reaches upward, every demonic force is alerted, because hell knows that prayer shifts atmospheres, breaks chains, and pulls down strongholds, which is why your prayer life often feels like the place of greatest resistance, because Satan would rather you sin boldly than pray consistently. For sin only binds you to yourself, but prayer binds you to the throne of God. And this is why you experience sudden interruptions, a hidden heaviness, even physical fatigue that has no logical explanation, because Ephesians 6:12 reminds you that you are not fighting flesh and blood, but powers and principalities that secretly strategize against your intimacy with the Father. And if you notice that every time you attempt to pray, your phone rings, your thoughts wander, your flesh grows restless, it is not random, but a shocking sign that the enemy is terrified of what your words are building in the unseen realm. For James 5:16 declares that the prayer of the righteous is powerful and effective, which means your whispered petition carries more weight in heaven than the loudest threats from hell. Yet the devil knows if he can convince you prayer is pointless, he can silence your greatest weapon. So he surrounds you with lies that say, God isn't listening, your prayers are too small, your faith too weak. But the hidden truth is that silence from heaven is often a sign of movement. For Daniel prayed and waited 21 days before the angel finally arrived, revealing in Daniel 10:13 that a spiritual prince of Persia resisted the answer, meaning your delay isn't denial, but proof of warfare, a secret tug-of-war between what God has already released and what hell is trying to block. And this is why persistent prayer feels suffocating, why you feel unseen when you're actually in the center of heaven's focus, because the closer your breakthrough, the louder the attack becomes. And if you've ever wondered why temptations intensify, why sleep becomes heavier, why your emotions feel unstable right before you pray, it's because the enemy is attempting to exhaust your soul into silence. Yet Jesus warned his disciples in Matthew 26:41 to watch and pray lest they fall into temptation, showing you that prayer is not optional. It is your lifeline, and when you pray under attack, every word you utter is a sword, cutting through unseen chains, even when your mouth feels dry and your heart feels empty. Your persistence is louder than your feelings, for Romans 8:26 says the Spirit intercedes with groans too deep for words, meaning your weakest prayer is still carried into heaven with power. And the hidden danger is not unanswered prayer, but abandoned prayer. Because once you quit, the enemy no longer needs to fight, which is why he invests so heavily in distractions, delays, and discouragement. For he knows that if you stay on your knees, angels are dispatched, doors are unlocked, and strongholds crumble. But if he can make you believe your prayers are meaningless, he has disarmed you without firing a shot. And this is why, when you feel the heaviest opposition, it is actually the strongest confirmation that something in the Spirit is shifting. For Revelation 8:4 describes the prayers of the saints rising like incense before God, which means every whispered word is stored, collected, remembered. And when the appointed time comes, God pours them back as fire upon the earth. So the very prayers you thought were lost are the hidden seeds of tomorrow's victory. And the shocking truth is that unanswered prayer often carries more eternal weight than the answers you've already received, for it keeps you pressing, keeps you dependent, keeps you aligned with heaven's timing rather than your own. And if you've ever thought, why does it feel harder to pray the more I need it? The reason is simple. The devil does not waste his fire on empty vessels. He targets the chosen, the anointed, the intercessors who are secretly carrying nations in their petitions, the mothers holding children through their tears, the sons crying for lost fathers, the believers whose words in secret chambers shake the kingdom of darkness. And you are one of them. For if you were not, the battle would not be this intense, which is why you must recognize that resistance in prayer is itself proof that your prayers matter. For hell does not waste energy silencing those who have no power. So when you feel pressed to quit, you must remember Luke 18:1, where Jesus told them always to pray and not give up. Because persistence breaks through where passion cannot, and the hidden mystery of prayer is that even when you feel like nothing changes, something is always happening. Demons are trembling, angels are moving, heaven is recording, and your spirit is growing stronger. So do not be deceived by the silence. Do not be crushed by the delay. For every groan, every tear, every whispered, "Lord, help me," is shaking eternity. And when you realize this, you will stop measuring prayer by feelings and start measuring it by faith. For 2 Corinthians 5:7 reminds you to walk by faith and not by sight, which means you must pray not because you feel like it, but because prayer itself is warfare. And if you keep pressing, if you keep interceding when your body screams to stop, if you lift one more word when your mind says it's useless, you will step into the secret victory reserved for those who refuse to be silenced, because the enemy's greatest fear is not your fall, but your persistence, not your weakness, but your refusal to quit. And if you have been under attack in prayer, let it serve as your confirmation. Heaven is moving, hell is trembling, and your words are carrying eternal weight. So fight on your knees until the chains break. Because your prayer under attack is the hidden sign that breakthrough is already at the door. Every interruption, every fatigue, every wandering thought is actually a mark of spiritual significance, a divine pressure testing the depth of your reliance on God. And while your mind screams for relief, your persistence is a loud declaration to heaven that you will not be silenced, that you will not settle for comfort over calling, that your prayers, though attacked, are carving open windows in the unseen. So, when you next feel the heaviness, when you next face the secret opposition, do not recoil, do not doubt, do not question the value of your cries. For in that very tension, in that very struggle, God is orchestrating unseen victories, angels are mobilizing, and the spiritual realm is trembling, because you chose to persist, and the breakthrough that has been delayed is already responding to the prayers that refused to quit.